What's going on, everybody? Austin Got Figs here, and I'm bringing you the June 20th, 2025 WWE SmackDown recap. I'm going to go in depth on everything that had happened. I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on it. And as always, you guys leave me all your thoughts about this show down in the comments below. But without further ado, let's jump right into this recap. Okay, so to open the show, we did have L.A. Knight, yeah! And he came out and basically said that I've been, Seth Rollins screwed me first, and Seth Rollins and his crew screwed me first at Money in the Bank, which we obviously had seen, of course. And then I felt I had to get some payback, so I screwed one of his boys, and then I screwed the other one as well. Obviously, the boys being Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, of course. And then LA Knight said, basically LA Knight proposed the question of, well, when is this going to end? And he proposed that to us, the WWE Universe, and then LA Knight proceeded to say, well, LA Knight has the question, or has the answer, sorry. And then LA Knight pretty much said, well, it ends with me and Seth Rollins going one-on-one. And then LA Knight called out Seth Rollins, but guess what? Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, we didn't get Seth Rollins, we got Paul Heyman instead, I know. But actually, this segment was really funny, we're going to get into that right here, right now. So yeah, Paul Heyman came out, and pretty much, basically, he said his usual lines. I was the pretty much wise man for the Mr. Money in the Bank, Seth frickin' Rollins, and then the crowd proceeded to boo that name, and then Paul Heyman went on about that for a few minutes until LA Knight finally told him, just shut the hell up and get to the point, basically. So then Paul Heyman pretty much, got in the ring and basically telling LA Knight that you better get out of here now, or something else, or something bad's gonna happen to you tonight, of course. And then LA Knight said, well, I wanted Seth Rollins and you brought out Paul Heyman, and seeing as we're in the ring right now, we could have a match, which I thought that was really funny. I thought that was funny as hell, man. I wish I had my reaction on camera, but unfortunately I didn't. I just thought that was so funny. And then the crowd was all cheering into it. It was cool. It was funny as hell. Obviously, though, we did not get that. So, yeah, I mean, LA Knight had, built up the idea of him and Paul Heyman having a match. As LA Knight was obviously getting all riled up and everything, he had turned his back, and then Paul Heyman had obviously wiggled his way out of the ring. And then Paul Heyman brought up the idea again that if you don't get out of Grand Rapids here tonight, then bad things will happen to you. And that, I said that the first time, and that wasn't a prediction, that's a spoiler. And then we obviously had Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed come out, and then they started attacking LA Knight. And they were going to do a tsunami, it looked like, through the announcer's table, but luckily LA Knight got the upper hand with a steel chair, hit them both. And then LA Knight got back in the ring, and then Paul Heyman, Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker. Sorry, I blanked for a second. Oh my god. So they went back to the backstage, of course, and then that was really it for the entire opening. I thought it was really cool, man. I thought it was cool, and it was funny because obviously we're proposing the idea of a potential Seth Rollins and LA Knight match. And I don't think a potential. I think that match will obviously happen at some point down the road, of course. And so it was cool to see that being proposed, at least the idea of that match. And I thought this overall opening of the show was very funny and very cool to see. So as far as rating the opener of the show, I'd give it at least probably an A. Probably low A, maybe. I thought this segment was really good, but I don't want to overhype it, of course. Me personally, I enjoyed it. But now let's jump into the next part of the SmackDown recap. Alright, moving on, we did have a little backstage segment, pretty much following up the opener of the show between Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. We obviously saw Byron Saxton come up and pretty much notify Paul Heyman and all them, notifying them that Bronson Reed will actually have a match tonight with LA Knight. And obviously the crowd was hyped as hell for that, and just figured I'd throw that in there just so we know when I cover the match later in the video, at least we know how this match came about, of course. Figured I'd throw that in there. So cool segment. We got another match for tonight's show. Obviously we'll cover that later into the recap, of course. Just figured I'd throw this part in there, but yeah. All right, now moving on, we did have our first semifinal match for the Women's Queen of the Ring between Auska and Alexa Bliss. And I'm just going to go talk about the overall in-ring aspect first. So, as far as in-ring goes, I think both of the women did do very good. I just think that it could have been a little bit better, just how... like the sequence of how things basically played out, I feel like could have been better in my opinion, but that's just me. But I wouldn't talk too bad about the overall in-ring aspect of the match. The only thing I would kind of criticize is just, honestly, I want to say just the result of the match. I don't think Auska should have won that, man. Like, I understand. Auska has just returned, 12 months, I think it was. I think Alexa deserved that a lot more, and I just think I wanted Alexa personally to advance to the finals. I didn't really care to see Auska advance, but that's just me. So I don't want to be too much of a downer, because the overall match was, it wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't bad. It was pretty good in my opinion. Like I said, I truly did want Alexa Bliss to win. I want to actually talk about the ending a little bit. When Auska went to do her whole finisher thing, I thought that was just. I don't think Alexa should have went out that way. I feel like that made Alexa Bliss look a little bit weak, in my opinion. I mean, that really wasn't that big of an impact, so I just thought Asuka's finisher just looked very weak there, and it made Alexa Bliss look weak, because that's the move that got Auska the win. So those are really the main things I would criticize about that match. But overall, I don't think the match was terrible. I think it was pretty good. Things could have definitely been a little bit better, of course. But that really goes for any match, honestly, man. Every match could always be better, of course. But that's just a few things that I did want to note about this match. Obviously, Auska did advance and beat Alexa Bliss, as we had talked about. I think that really sums up this match and just everything that really happened in this match, obviously. So now let's move on to the next part of the SmackDown recap. All right, now moving on, we did have... well, what was supposed to be Aleister Black in action against, I think it was Kit Wilson. I don't even know. But yeah, we were supposed to have Aleister Black in action, but then R-Truth came out and attacked Kit Wilson, who was, like I said, supposed to be Aleister's opponent. I'm just gonna be all out. I really don't know what the hell the point of this was. Like, seriously, what was the point of that? That just wasted a match away from Kit Wilson and R-Truth. I mean, sorry, not R-Truth, and Aleister Black. I really don't understand what the point of that was. I really wasn't even going to throw that part in here. But clearly this must mean something. I just truly don't know what the hell the point of this was. I genuinely don't. I'm seriously, what was the point of that? That was just dumb in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, R-Truth called out John Cena. John Cena obviously never came out because, people from the back, like, they came out and stopped Truth, brought him back up. I mean, I just don't know why they'd have that in there. I would really like to know. Just unfortunately, I don't at this point in time. I'm really not even going to talk about this much more. I've talked about it for already like a minute and 15 seconds. It really only deserved 30. I just don't know what the point of this was. But yeah, let's move on to something more interesting. Okay, so this part of the recap is actually going to change the way I felt about what I just talked about previously. We did have a little bit of a backstage segment to follow that part of the show up. It was pretty much just Aleister Black coming up to R-Truth, just asking, why are you out there? Why are you getting in my business? And R-Truth said, or Ron Killings, said, it wasn't nothing personal. Then we had Damian Priest come up and he told Aleister, man, he's going through a lot. Let me talk to him. And then Aleister Black was like, pretty much all right. And then Aleister walked away, basically. Then we had R-Truth and Damian Priest go at it for a second. Not like go at it, but, they talked. Damian Priest telling R-Truth, you can't be going out there and attacking people for no reason, basically. You need to focus this anger that you have on your match tonight with John Cena, which obviously we're going to get into later in the recap. But that was really all that happened there. But the reason why I say it changes my perspective of what happened, what I covered just the last segment, I didn't really think about the fact that it is just showing the anger side of R-Truth, continues to show that. I mean, still, I just don't think that was necessary, but I understand why they did it now. I just wanted to clarify that. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. Now let's jump into the next part of this recap. Alright, so next up we had a combined with Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and Randy Orton, pretty much promo segment. Yeah, so we have Cody Rhodes come out first, and he doesn't even really get to say a word until, Jey Uso obviously came down, did his whole yeet thing, ran it back, and then yeet some more. And then basically Jey Uso told Cody, our match on Monday for Monday Night Raw, the semifinals, of course, at the end of that match, it's going to be 4 letters, 1 word, yeet. Basically saying that, I'm going to win this, and I'm going to move on to the final. Or, yeah, I'm going to move on to the finals. It's not you, basically. But obviously, of course, he added in the fact, it's all love. It's just business, of course, And then we had, of course, Sami Zayn come out. And then Sami Zayn pretty much told Cody and Jey, you guys have, had your stories, and you guys have both finished them, but now I haven't, because I haven't won world title gold yet, basically. So now is my time to win world title gold. And basically, I mean, again, Sami continues to show his respects, that he does respect Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes, but, now is my time. It's my time to win gold. It's my time to move on and be at the top for once, basically. And then we had Randy Orton come out, and Randy Orton started off with Cody Rhodes, of course, telling him pretty much just the whole formula of this promo. I respect you. You finished your story. I respect you a lot, basically. And then Randy Orton had went over to Jey Uso and saying, our families went way back. But if basically you're on the if I'm facing you in the finals, basically, you're going to be on the receiving end of basically the 3 most dangerous letters, RKO, and I'm going to go on to SummerSlam, basically. And then he went to Sami Zayn, which is who he faces tonight, which we're actually going to get into that match, and just right after this segment, Randy had told Sami, pretty much, same thing. I respect you as well, but tonight, just much like you told Jey, you're going to be on the receiving end of also the 3 most dangerous letters, RKO, and then that was really it. So this segment was overall just getting everybody's thoughts about the whole King of the Ring thing, making sure that there's no beef, it's all business, basically. And that was really the point of this segment. I didn't think it was bad. I think it was cool to see all that, just, to affirm or to ensure that, there's no beef between all of us, it's just strictly business and, doing what's best for us, pretty much, basically. And then, yeah, that was really it for there. And, yeah, now let's move on to the next part of the SmackDown. Alright, now moving on to a banger of a match, we did have the semifinal King of the Ring match between Sami Zayn and Randy Orton, and man, was this a good match. I want to talk about in-ring first, because that is obviously what made this match amazing, of course. Dude, these men have great chemistry, honestly. Like, overall, this in-ring was so great, dude. I enjoyed all the, when Randy goes trying for an RKO, Sami Zayn knows how to reverse that most of the time. Sami Zayn always trying to do, or when Randy Orton tried to do something to Sami, Sami follows him and tries to hit him with the haluva kick, but then Randy reverses. I just thought we saw that a lot, and I thought that was what made this match great, just due to the fact of how well both men knew each other, man. I thought that was absolutely amazing, in my opinion. I mean, man, I just, overall, there's not one point in this match where I was like, I at all times, I really, truly thought this was a great match. So, obviously, Randy Orton did actually end up beating Sami Zayn, and Randy Orton will be going on to the finals, of course, which I'm not mad about. Honestly, it was really hard to pick between who I really wanted to win. It would have been cool to see Sami win, but, Randy Orton moved on, and I'm not even pissed about it, It's cool to see Randy move on as well. But yeah, man, as far as in-ring goes, great match. I truly did enjoy this match, and this match was definitely better than the women's semifinal match that we did talk about earlier in the video. Again, Randy Orton did advance, and he'll be in the finals of the King in the Ring. Obviously, at Night of Champions, of course, which is not tomorrow Saturday, but the next Saturday. So about a week away. And then obviously Randy will face either Jay or Cody, which we'll find out on this coming Raw episode. But yeah, I think that really sums it up for this match. Again, great match. I truly enjoyed it. Randy advanced. That's all you got to know. Let's move on. All right, moving on. We did have Nia Jax come out. Obviously, we saw everything that happened with last week with her and Tiffany Stratton. So basically, yeah, Nia Jax came out tonight, and she was saying, Tiffany Stratton followed in my footsteps right next to me for months, and then she betrayed me. And, what thanks did I get for helping her get to the top? Obviously, Tiffany Stratton took the title from her, and Nia Jax said, well, where was my thank you? And then Tiffany Stratton came out and pretty much saying that, Nia, you want a shot, you want another shot at my title, you want to take this off of me so bad. Well, it's your lucky day, because next week, we're going to have a last woman standing match for this title. And then, so yeah, we got notified that we will have a last woman standing match next week on SmackDown, obviously for the title. And then after Tiffany Stratton proposed that idea, we had Nia Jax come out, Nia Jax was already out there, my bad. Nia Jax attacked Tiffany Stratton, pretty much gave her a couple leg drops, and then Miss Money in the Bank came out, Naomi, which I really thought she was going to cash in this time, but I do think Naomi's actually going to cash in next week. I do think we could see a cash in 100% next week, especially with the stipulation that next week's match between Nia and Tiffany is going to be, but that's besides the point right now. So yeah. Naomi came out. She obviously didn't cash in. Nia Jax kept stopping her from cashing in. Nia didn't want that because Nia wanted to face Tiffany Stratton personally. Nia wanted to be the one to take the title off of Tiffany. So yeah, Nia stopped her from cashing in a couple times because Nia had pulled her down a couple times, but Naomi just kept trying to cash in. But eventually Tiffany Stratton got back on her feet and delivered a drop kick to Naomi, which caused Naomi to topple onto Nia Jax, and then Tiffany Stratton was able to get out of there safely with her title still. So the main takeaway from this match, from this segment, is that we will have a last women's standing match between Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax for the Women's Championship next week on SmackDown. And again, I think we will see a cash in next week, and unfortunately, Tiffany Stratton will no longer be the champion next week. And I don't think that's a prediction. Just like Paul Heyman said earlier that I had mentioned, he said it's not a prediction, it's a spoiler, and unfortunately I do think. Okay, my bad. But yeah, as I was saying, obviously we did have. I think it's definitely not. I think it's a spoiler that unfortunately Naomi will cash in next week on Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, and Tiffany Stratton will no longer be on top. But yeah, that's really all the main takeaways from this part of the segment. I don't want to keep this going on for too long. But yeah, let's move on to the next part of the show. Okay, moving on. Oh my. Sorry. Okay, moving on. We did have Charlotte Flair versus Chelsea Green. I gotta be honest, was not intrigued by this match at all. Really could care less, if I'm being honest. But it was cool because it was building into what I think is a potential evolution match, because obviously Charlotte Flair did actually end up beating Chelsea Green with she tapped her out, and then when Chelsea Green tapped, instantly came in Piper Niven and gave a big running senton to Charlotte Flair, and then out came Alexa Bliss to help out Charlotte Flair. So I truly think this was really only to build towards a potential evolution match between Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss versus Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. I think that could be a potential evolution match. I really think that was the only reason for this match, in my opinion. If that wasn't the reason, then this match really served no purpose on this show. That's just my raw opinion, if I'm being completely honest. Really could care less for this match, but it was just, I guess it was cool to see that they're potentially building to an evolution match. That's really all there is to it for this, man. Let's move on to something more interesting. Okay, moving on, we did have the Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu promo. So Solo Sikoa came down in the ring saying, "Jacob, please come out here. I want to give my apologies to every friend. I want to crush this beef that we have currently. I want to end it, and I want to move on and be stronger again, basically. So then Jacob Fatu obviously came down to the ring, and then Solo Sikoa just continued to say, you know, I love you, Jacob. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I want to, like I had mentioned, I want to keep on being stronger. I want to be partners again. You know, I want to have that connection, obviously. So then we had Jacob Fatu obviously say that, you know, he obviously thinks that Solo, you know, you used me, Solo. You used me to get fame. You used me to stay tribal chief. You used me to get power. And then Fatu proceeded to say, you know, maybe I'm not the problem, Jacob. Or sorry, maybe I'm not the problem, Solo. Maybe it's this being the United States Championship. And then Jacob Fatu had said, you know, if you want this, then fight me for it, basically. And then the crowd erupted, pretty much, I would say. I mean, because obviously, that's going to be a banger of a match once we get that. And I feel like we could get that Night of Champions, but as I'm recording this clip, it hasn't been officially announced if they will have a match yet. But yeah, man, so... and then Jacob Fatu did his whole thing, you know, I'm all gas, no brakes with it, yada I mean. And then as he was doing that, Solo Sikoa, man, I keep getting their names mixed up for some reason. Solo Sikoa had tried to hit Jacob Fatu with a Samoan spike. Obviously, Fatu countered, and then they brawled for a second, and then out came JC Mateo, and then they proceeded to beat up on Jacob Fatu, but then Jimmy Uso actually came out and helped him. But then Solo Sikoa and JC Mateo beat up on Jimmy Uso. But then Jacob Fatu, being the Samoan werewolf that he is, rose back up and continued to whoop Solo Sikoa's ass and JC Mateo's ass, man. So, you know, I'm really excited to see if we really will see some sort of ally type thing with Jimmy Uso and Jacob Fatu. I think that could be really cool to see. I think we will probably see that. And I also can't wait to see the Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu for the United States Championship match once we actually get that. And again, like I said, I feel like we could get that at Night of Champions potentially. But yeah, man, that's really all that happened there. I really think this was a great segment. It was cool to see the continuing with the Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa stuff. Always cool to see that. Yeah, man, lots of great things happened here, you know. So overall, I really enjoyed this segment. But now let's move on to a different part of the show. All right, and then moving on, we did have LA Knight versus Bronson Reed. And I'm just going to really get straight to the point on this match. There was no true winner. Well, I mean, it ended in a disqualification. We had Braun Breaker interfere in the match and deliver a spear to LA Knight, and then after the match, there was pretty much just a ruthless attack on LA Knight with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, pretty much just trying to weaken LA Knight, just continue to beat him up as we've seen the past couple weeks. I honestly was expecting this match to actually end in just normally. I honestly was not expecting a disqualification, so that actually kind of shocked me. But yeah, I mean, really, that's really all that happened. This match just continued just a beat down on LA Knight, basically, and it's really the only way I would look at it for this match. Obviously, like I had mentioned earlier in the show, or earlier in the recap, we'll probably get obviously a future LA Knight versus Seth Rollins match later on down the road, of course. But yeah, just really that's all that really happened for this match. But now let's jump into the last part of the show. All right, man, and what a main event that was. Oh my, this is shaking again. Okay, what a main event that this SmackDown held for us, man. So obviously it was the John Cena versus Ron Killings match, but the match isn't even the best part. Like, yes, the match was good, but we all know that John Cena ended up hitting R-Truth with the title, and it caused a disqualification. And then CM Punk came out and then started attacking Cena. Then eventually Cena took control of the whole entire situation and eventually ended up putting CM Punk through a table. And then this is where it all gets heated, and John Cena performs his version of the classic Pipe Bomb promo, man. What a promo. This was so cool to see, honestly, man. Like, I wasn't expecting to see something like this on this episode of SmackDown. That's for damn sure. But we're gonna dive deep into this promo, man. So So yeah, John Cena gives his version of the pipe bomb promo. We're just gonna. It was so much that I had to just kind of, do a little bit of a rundown. So I typed a few things up, and I'm gonna just pretty much give you guys a rundown of it. It was just so much I really could not retain all of it, but it just I'm gonna read most of this out for you. So basically, he starts off with saying that he doesn't hate CM Punk. He doesn't even dislike him, and he likes him, and he says that I like you, CM Punk, more than anybody that I like you more than anybody that has ever shared a locker room with you, basically. But he did say that he hates the idea that, CM Punk calls himself the best in the world. And he claims that CM Punk is not, because I'm the greatest of all time. And then Cena pretty much tells CM Punk that you're basically only good at you're better than me at one thing, and that's being the biggest bullshitter. And man, right there, like that is just. As soon as these first couple lines, I knew where this was going. I knew exactly where this was going. I just as soon as Cena started with all this, I just exactly knew what we were gonna get, what this was trying to resemble. Obviously, that being the pipe bomb promo. Oh my god, I've been doing that a lot this video. That is totally my fault. But yeah, and then Cena pretty much tells Stu, which is one of the WWE cameramen. He says that I'm breaking the fourth wall. Obviously, if you know what that means, you know what that means. I'm not going to go too deep on that. But then he says that, he's jealous of Punk for one thing, and that's that he's conned all these people, all these people being us, the fans. He's basically saying that he's jealous for him, that he conned us into us believing that he's the best in the world, into believing the myth that he is the best in the world, basically. And then, there's so much that necessarily happened in this promo. These are just, I would argue, more of the main things. I did write a couple more things down, though. Obviously, Cena claimed that, pretty much the last great thing that Punk really did was 14 years ago, and it only lasted 7 minutes, which, again, being that pipe bomb promo, of course. And then we kind of got into more of Cena kind of just talking even more trash on Punk. Basically, one of the things that I had written down was he said that his tweets were strong. His tweets obviously being, on social media, X, if you don't know what that means, that's what that means, of course. Basically saying that his tweets are strong, but his actions are not. And I mean, that's really, those are really just the main things that you could really take away from this promo. I mean, there's so much that happened. I would really recommend that you guys actually just go back and watch this, because there really was a lot said. I couldn't necessarily get all of it, and there was a lot of important stuff to understand. I'm actually going to go back after this video and rewatch it myself, just to figure out everything I missed, basically. So, but those are some of the main things that Cena stated. Just again, please go check this out once somebody post this promo up on YouTube. But yeah, man, that whole main event, as far as the match goes between Cena and R-Truth, I thought it could have been a little bit better. I thought it was going to be better. It wasn't, but that whole promo made up for it, man. 100% it made up for that promo at 100%, man. But again, man, please just go check out this promo when somebody uploads it on YouTube. You're not gonna want to miss it. Like I said, I'm gonna go rewatch it myself. I'll probably do more of an in-depth video on this promo maybe tomorrow. I'm not too sure about that, so don't hold me to it. I'll see what I can do, of course, for you guys. But yeah, I mean, that's really it for this June 20th, 2025 episode and recap of SmackDown, man. Overall, I would say this episode of SmackDown was pretty good, man. I really would not, tear down the SmackDown that much. I think it was very good, in my opinion. Obviously, with the semifinal matches, this promo, and, there's this entire show, it wasn't bad at all. It was a decent show, man, and I think it, it served its purpose, and it was a great show in my opinion. So, obviously, you guys leave me your comments down below about this show. What were your favorite parts? What did you not like? If you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like on the video, and even be sure to subscribe and tap the bell so you get notified every time I post a video. But again, man, if you guys want to see more of content from me or just more videos like this, there's tons of stuff for you guys to check out on the channel. And yeah, man, like I said, hope y'all enjoyed this recap, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.